Hey guys, it's Clint. Welcome back to Sweetcast. I don't know. I'm tempted sometimes to just make like a vlog kind of video where I just talk about what's going on with me. I realize that a lot of people come to watch the channel because they want to see comics news, but it seems like the news is all one note lately. I like keeping an eye on the industry, especially for business reasons, and I think it's important to understand what's going on, even if you're in indie comics. But at the same time, it's like, well, there's not really much happening in comics. The stuff that has been happening has been very fluffy, I would say. A lot of like cute PR moments with some comic book artists creating artwork to sell online on eBay or something like that and try to make some money and donate it to comic shops. I don't think it's fooling anybody. I think everyone knows that the problems are deeper than anything that money can solve right now. Like throwing money at it is not going to correct the issue long term. Otherwise, you know, businesses could just take up the federal government on those small business loans, forgivable loans, presumably, assuming that everything it really is forgivable, and you'd have money technically. But I think we all know that the problem runs deeper than that, and so that's not exactly what they need. It's just some handouts. Okay. So at the same time, I look over indie comics. I look over, especially on crowdfunding, especially on Indiegogo. And there are just amazing things happening even still. And so it's been kind of cool to see how this is all playing out. So yeah, here we go. So first I got to show you this. This is Fatal. This is my upcoming book with Charlie Snogans. He's the fantastic artist on this book. If it's not available to back yet, but it will be. And you're going to want to be in the know. So if you want to be on first and get special offers, sign up below in the description. I have a mailing list. If you're on that mailing list, I will treat you like royalty. You'll have access to everything. So do that and you'll be the first to hear about Fatal when it launches on Indiegogo. Okay, I'm going to look at my past two campaigns and do some comparison here, but I wanted to pull up this article first. Again, I see more mainstream news outlets. This is from The Guardian, and they're talking about the comic book industry. More people are taking notice that it's not going to survive. And so they look at this like it's, here's an industry that is completely collapsing, and it makes like an interesting, human interest piece for journalists to say, hey, remember comics, they still exist, but they might not survive. This little industry just might not survive. And so they do this every time they go through the rounds. But I thought that there was an interesting quote here. Here we go. I'm going to pull this out. This is from one of the comic book shop retailers. He says, "This is beyond 2008. This is beyond the Great Depression." Hill adds, his name's Hill. "I'm just a guy who sells comic books, but I feel like this is true up and down. How are we going to do this? I'm ready. I'm reading that Macy's is going out of business and AMC movie theaters is going out of business. Why are you letting these places go out of business?" Now, if it was a matter of just allowing the comic book industry to go out of business or allowing movie theaters to go out of business, that would be one thing. That's not how it really works, though. There's been a major disruption in the market. There already was. That's the thing, is the coronavirus and all of the social distancing. This has only basically shed light on the disruption that had already been taking place. Now it is a catastrophic disruption, I would say. And I think there are very few shops that are looking at this from the other end, and they're going to be fine. I'm not sure how it's going to be going forward. But, as I look at this, I think what needs to happen is the industry needs to pivot. I don't want to hang on that and harp on it too much. But you don't allow the comic book industry, you don't allow businesses to go out of business. Those businesses fail to adapt quickly enough. And I'm not blaming comic shops or anybody that's going out of business directly. I'm just saying as a general principle, can we separate the emotion from it and just look at it just totally realistically, no emotion? It has to adapt. Okay. So you got to find ways to continue to sell comics. Now, the nice thing is because online, the internet's already here and crowdfunding has already been working for so many years, there are more and more comic readers that are moving over to not just backing crowdfunded books, but launching crowdfunded books. I would say recently there seem to be fewer crowdfunded books. I realize that it's a bit of a risky time for some people. I think others, it's not going to make a single difference. They're still going to do well, but I think if you're a first time creator, you're looking at your very first book, this might not be the optimal time to launch. But prove me wrong. I'm happy to be proved wrong for sure. There is a market right now for comic books online. When I look at buying or selling anything online right now, in fact, there's a lot of it going on. I'd be interested to see which industries are actually doing better right now than they would otherwise have been. But like, for example, I've did a little bit of spending recently. We bought the kids a couple new toys. Things get boring around here. So we buy these things online and it's taking forever, longer than normal for these items to get shipped to us. And that's because there's so many people buying things. And I know and I realize that the line is that, you know, that's because they're shipping pertinent stuff first, I guess, like toilet paper, whatever else is really important needs to be shipped first. But this country and the world already has like a really robust infrastructure for online ordering. There are already, you know, hundreds of thousands. I have no idea. Every single day, just thousands and thousands and thousands of orders and items being shipped all the time. And so, you know, I'm sure there's influx of more orders than normal, perhaps, but at the same time, that I guess is providing jobs. Did I go off on a little bit of a tangent? Anyway, my point is that sales have been increasing for me, I'll say. And I know that for shipping, things have been a little crazy. I'm already looking down the road at when I'm going to be fulfilling the next campaign. And I'm a little bit concerned just about the shipping. I'm worried that the shipping costs might go up. I hope that's not the case. But I don't know. There's a lot of factors at play. So we'll see. We'll move forward. It doesn't, hopefully, you know, it won't matter, hopefully. Okay. So Downcast number 1, I'm just looking at this. These are so complicated. And I've seen people do breakdowns on YouTube. And sometimes I feel like there's, ulterior motives, which is fine too, whatever. But people have looked at my campaigns and they've compared the first one to the second one. And there are even more differences than I think people have been giving it credit to. So this is my first campaign. There are 2 different numbers. Really, there's 4 different numbers that I want you to look at this campaign. The first one, is my head in the way? Can you see those numbers? All right, the first one is $26,116. That is the total dollar amount raised by the end of the initial campaign, which I believe it was like a 31-day campaign. I know I'm strange like that. I like to make it end exactly on the same day that it started, same day of the week, generally speaking. And so, yeah, that's how much money. And that was 746 backers. Now it gets more complicated because the book price was so different. And I noticed that you boy Zach did this too, because his book was also priced less. His pandemic book was only $15, which is the same price as Downcast 1. And so it was kind of interesting to compare and see how the pricing of Indiegogo books affects supply and demand. Obviously, it affects massively profit margins, but that's, again, a whole other matter. So that's what it raised initially. Then it was in demand for several months, and it got up to $31,607 by 924 backers. So those are big backer numbers. If we move forward, this is Downcast, Rise or Fall. I'm going to look at these numbers, and you'll see the initial campaign ended at 31,153, which was much higher than the first one. In fact, it was almost just as much as after the in-demand phase. So it was just more dollars total. Now, this is on a $20 book minimum. It's a little bit bigger. I found out a little bit more about profit margins, still learning this. And so the price did go up to make it make sense. How did that affect the number of backers? It's really difficult to say because this is also the number 2 in the series. There's a whole lot of other factors at play. But there were fewer backers initially. So there were 669 backers from that initial first campaign. Now, since that campaign has ended, the most recent one, Downcast 2, it's been actually increasing lately since the pandemic started. Backers have been increasing. I don't know if it's because my video content is just so great and it's selling books better. Who knows? Maybe that could be it. I've been making fewer videos because I don't know. I just have, it almost seems like if I'm making a video just for the sake of making a video, no one likes that. You can tell. So I've been trying to just make videos when I have something to say. So that means slightly fewer videos. There's still, you know, I'm doing several videos a week, but backers have been increasing. So now we're at 34,522, and that's with 743 backers. So it's still fewer backers than where I ended off at the end of the in-demand phase. Keep in mind, it's still in demand. And the moment I tell people that it's going to leave the in-demand store, I'm going to start getting more backers. That's just the way that it works. People want to get in last minute. So 746 was the first one. We're at 743. So I'm 3 backers shy of hitting the same backer number from the initial campaign. And then it'll be, you know, a couple hundred more before we hit the next one, the final total, 924. So I don't know. There's just an interesting experiment to see how many customers you retain versus how many customers you're getting as new customers. Now, I could probably guess and do some figuring that if you ordered one of these books that came with the first book, volume 1, that these are new readers. We got 120 in this one. Let's see, here's a volume 1, an additional 67. And then I think you can get it. Here we go. The VIP bundle plus volume 1. Again, just two additional people that got that. That's volume 1. So are those new readers? That's the question. Are those hundreds of people new readers? A couple hundred people? I don't know. They could also be readers that already got the first book and wanted another one. It's so difficult to know. I wish I could get more analytics on this specifically for backers. But this is, I don't know. It's interesting to know. My point is, this is just one example, but I've seen so many crowdfunding campaigns that are still up and running. And if I'm just going to go to Explore Comics, there's so many crowdfunding campaigns that are still going and still making good money. There's still, and this is just Indiegogo at the moment. This is what we're talking about. But you've got anywhere from Bigfoot Bill 2, who's got 150, basically 160,000. That'll jump up because it's in the last 5 days. You've got Carmen America. That's it's a lower campaign, 10 days left. But again, you're still looking at over $10,000. And then let's see, Cyberfrog Unforgettable Tales. I thought this one was over 157,000. There's the other Cyberfrog, $640,000 with another 25 days left to go. I don't know. I just looked through this and I still feel like it's a healthy crowdfunding environment. I don't know if part of that is that more people are ordering things online. Part of it is that people can't buy new comic books in a comic book shop. And maybe part of it, let me know if you've ever felt this way, but you want to circulate some money into the economy. And so you're finding ways to do it. I know I looked at my needs for art and I listed out some things that I needed. I want to be focusing a little bit more on my own publishing and print and branding. And so, you know, I hired an artist to help me get some of those things put together. You know, I've been making sure that I'm paying people. You know, I got Eric Weathers, he's paid. You know, I've got a lot of people that I'm paying through this. And so I do feel some kind of responsibility. So I wonder too, even just from a spending perspective, if you're spending a little bit more money, because there just seems to be a need for money to be circulating, you know? So I don't know, maybe that's the case. Maybe that's why I've seen an uptick in backers. I still think that crowdfunding is healthy, especially because right now, let's face it, these are the only books you're getting unless you want to go digital. I guess there are some new digital comics that are coming out as well. All right, so thanks everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. I don't know, we'll see how this one went. I'll probably be a little bit more newsy next time, because I think that's what everyone really wants anyway. But yeah, just thought I'd just catch up on some of the things I was thinking about. So thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.